And now we have Moose Jaw Citizen of the Year for 2013, sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce, of course, and Darlene Guy. Now, I didn't know all the stuff you did because I have no idea. Our paths haven't crossed, and I'm going like, man, I was on the air. I worked on the air show, and you worked on the air show, and then you worked on the Riders, the last Grey Cup. You were doing that, and I went and watched it. But you do so much, and you said that's the story you told about at the beginning. 10 years of volunteering. So if you want to start, Darlene, first of all, congratulations, and tell us how this all came to be.
Well, thank you so much. Well, actually, it started off, I had a friend, I was looking, to move up, to get a better job, get a different job. So I had a friend look at my resume, and she says, Darlene, this is a really good resume, but you don't have any volunteer experience, anything in the community. They said, that goes a long way towards, getting a better job, moving up. So I said, oh, okay, well, I can do that. And so the first thing and then not too long after that, this article came out in the Times-Herald saying that this event was looking for a volunteer. And I thought, that would be a lot of fun. So I thought, well, I'm going to phone. So I phoned the number in the Times-Herald, left a message, with my name and my phone number, just saying, I really want to volunteer. Well, they didn't phone me back. It's like, well, okay, I guess they don't, they didn't need volunteers. So then in 2004, another friend of mine was involved in the air show, and he said, you know what, we need some volunteers. So I said, well, I'll come help. What do you need? So he says, well, we need somebody to sell tickets when people get off the bus. Well, that's pretty easy, right? I can do that. So that's what I did my first year, 2004. 2005, I was contacted by the air show again because they had seen that I had volunteered in 2004, and a lot of people didn't know who I was, and they're like, we would like you to look after all the concessions. So I met, and that's what they said. We'd like you to look after all the concessions at the air show. I said, well, I could do that, right? So when I got back to work that afternoon, I got a call from the air show office. They said, you know what, after meeting you, that's not what we want you to do. And of course I felt, well, oh, that's okay. I felt really bad because...
Yes, I can pick the garbage.
So they said, we want you to look after all the volunteers. I'm like, that's a big job. That's 600 volunteers. It's nothing like jumping in with both feet, but I was jumping in over my head at 600 volunteers. So I said, okay, I'll do it. So we started meeting, and we carrying on and doing all kinds of things. And then they come to me and they said, you know what, Darlene? They said, getting to know you, getting to know how organized you are and how efficient you are, we want you to do something else. And I'm like, something else? I thought looking after 600 volunteers was kind of enough, but no, we'd like you to look after the hangar dance as well. So that was my 2005, and then it just went from there, like the 55 plus games, the 2010 Winter Games, the Olympic Torch Run, Rick Hansen Relay, Moose Jog, the Amusing Race. It's just expanded and gotten bigger and bigger every year. I do, everything that Waccamaw Valley does, I'm a part of. So last year there was 6 functions. And in 2013, it just spiraled out of control with, we ended 2012. I put on the banquet for the Canada Cup of Curling, which was, a lot of fun, and meeting a lot of people that I'd never met before because it was curling people and a lot of people that haven't ever sat on committees with me before. So, and then 2013, like I said, I did 6 functions for the Waccamaw Valley. I did the Moose Jog, the Amusing Race. I was part of a joint committee for the Junos, and then I ended the year with the Grey Cup, which I was part of the volunteer committee on the planning committee for the Grey Cup. So. And
not only when you being part of the Grey Cup, you moved to Regina for a week and lived there, 15-hour days, and couldn't even fit your shoes on by the end of it.
No, we started, we opened up Volunteer Central on the Monday, of course, then. And of course the game isn't even till Sunday, but Monday everything started, and it was 12 to 16-hour days that we all put in because we're dealing with 2,000. I think the last total I heard was 2,300 and some volunteers. It's a lot of volunteers to move it around and get organized. So we started on the Monday. by Saturday morning, yes, I could have cried looking at my shoes because, of course, by then your feet are sore, you're tired. But yeah, I did move to Regina. Anybody that knows me knows I'm not one to travel back and forth to Moose Jaw. And a lot of people didn't even know why I did it, why I said yes. But, you know, when somebody like Dawn, who was the head of the volunteers for Regina, and Jeff ask you to come and participate in this, such a big event, you do say yes. So I did. I moved in with a cousin for the week. Took my little bag and only one pair of shoes, of course, which Calvin laughed at me. He's like, he even uses more, but you know, you only can take so much. And yeah, by Saturday, you know, my feet were pretty sore, but
you could have gone shopping for shoes, you know. I'm just suggesting.
I didn't have time. 12 to 16-hour days, you just don't venture out. And I don't know about anybody that was in Regina knows it was a lot of people in that city, so I didn't venture too far. I kind of, you know, I was in the Evraz place for the whole time. You know, got there at 6:30 in the morning, left at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and it was a really good. It was something that I've never done before, something on that big of level. And I would say if anybody has never done anything like that before, they should. It was really amazing.
Well, I'm just thinking, you know, we're talking about the fact that you're our Citizen of the Year for 2013. Any woman that can spend a week in another town and not go shoe shopping because she's too busy has got to be considered for Citizen of the Year. That's all I want to say about that.
Well, some might say something a lot different. Yeah. I've had a lot of people say, "Are you crazy? Why do you do this?" And I actually was asked that today, and I said, you know, I love Moose Jaw. I've lived here most of my life, and I enjoy bringing things to Moose Jaw. Like, I mean, if we didn't have this kind of stuff coming in, what would we have? Like, we need things to do. People need, people like to volunteer, so, you know, it gives everybody an opportunity to volunteer, but it gives people a chance to participate. You know, we've had some wonderful participation from members of Moose Jaw, people in Moose Jaw, in all the events I've done. Even the Olympic torch run, to have Diane carry that Olympic torch right up there. I mean, kind of just, you know, but people in Moose Jaw participate in the events that we bring. They volunteer, and we have a wonderful core of volunteers in Moose Jaw. You just have to ask anybody that's put on a function here, whether it is the Canada Cup of Curling, where we, you know, had all of our volunteer needs that we met, or even something little like the Moose Jog that I'm involved in. Our volunteers come out and they do support. So our residents have fun watching, our volunteers have fun, you know, volunteering, and like I said, we've even had participants in a lot of the functions from Moose Jaw. So,
well, and certainly, I mean, as you said, the Moose Jog is something you've really cottoned on to, and I know Don Looning is very appreciative of the efforts that you have, but it's not like you're stopping. The Scotties are coming next year in 2015, so I suppose you're being asked maybe to participate?
That's actually very funny. I was on my way home from Regina with the Grey Cup. Everybody was encouraged on the planning committee to do something, to, you know, attend some function. We had a bigger planning committee because they didn't want people to just spend all their time there. They wanted people to, you know, be able to enjoy something. Well, part of my enjoyment was actually being done on Saturday and not being in Regina for the, you know, the game, but being able to spend the game with my family and, you know, here in Moose Jaw. So part of that was, you know, I was done Saturday. So I'm on the highway when my cell phone starts ringing, and I pick it up, and it's Glenn Hagel and Danielle, who are the chairs, the co-chairs, the chairs for the Scotties. And they say to me, "Oh, where are you?" I said, "Well, I'm actually on the highway coming home to Moose Jaw. You know, I'm finally done the Grey Cup. Very tired, but, you know, very happy." And Glenn says to me, "Well, I hope you got hands-free." And I said, "Well, actually, a friend of mine's driving." And he's like, "Well, can she keep a secret?" I'm like, "Well, I guess she can, yeah." So he said, "Well, Moose just got the Scotties Tournament of Hearts, and we'd like you to put on the banquet and deal with all the decorating, everything like that, similar to what you did with the Canada Cup of Curling." And I kind of laughed because I've just finished dealing with like 2,300 volunteers, shuffling them around for all the days. I said, "You know what? I think I can do that. I don't think I'd have any problem with that. And it will be very similar to the one I put on for the Canada Cup of Curling." So.
And, you know, coming coming up in the whole year. You've got all these good plans. You have a full-time job, and we should give kudos to your bosses and the organization you work for, because they're very supportive.
Yeah, I work for Sask Water. My boss Randy Avery is very supportive. Actually, all of the bosses there, all the president, he shook my hand after we had done Grey Cup and said, "Well done." But no, they're always very supportive of me, and I take a lot of time off to volunteer. That's how I use my holidays. So I take days off, my EDOs, but they also do, really let me, have some freedom there. So I work for a really good organization that lets me do this.
So years ago, when you decided to upgrade your job, now you have a job with Sask Water. Is that part of the upgrade?
It was actually. I have a really good job. I really love my job, and I really don't want to do anything different right now. I am the business development coordinator. Okay. So like I said, I love my job, don't really have any attention to going. So I did get the job that I wanted. But there's so much more to do. Moose just got all these facilities now and I know that there was some controversy in getting them. There's probably still some controversy, but it has allowed us to get so much here. Who'd have thought we'd have the Canada Cup of Curlies or the Scotties? And nobody ever dreamed that we'd have part of the Junos here. And that was remarkable to be part of that. So, we need to keep filling these places up and keep bringing this stuff to Moose Jaw. So.
Well, I want to say congratulations, Darlene. It's a wonderful award, and it certainly recognizes a wonderful contribution to our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, that wraps it up for today. Fun at Moose Jaw this week. I want to thank my guests for being here and congratulate both the creative kids and Darlene for their awards this year. On behalf of myself and Shaw, we say congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you again soon on Moose Jaw this week.